Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Traversing Entrepreneurship podcast, a show for business owners who set out to do something different and did not stop there. This is Dall'Olmo coming to you from Traverse City, Michigan, the city that inspired the name of this show. With over 19 years of experience in the finance industry, I've seen my fair share of success as well as horror stories in business. On this podcast, I enjoy sitting down with a variety of entrepreneurs to talk about what it takes to build a successful business, including all the ups and downs that come along with doing something different and paving your own way in life. In today's episode, I'll be interviewing Saul Marquez, founder and CEO of Outcomes Rocket, a global digital marketing agency focused on healthcare. Join us today as we discuss Saul's journey from corporate healthcare to following his entrepreneurial spirit. Welcome to the show, Saul. Thanks for being here.
Derek, such a pleasure to be here with you, and thank you all for being with us.
So, Saul, you and I we've chatted before this, so I kind of know your background, how you got there, et cetera, but nobody listening does. So can you give our listeners a sense of how you got started and maybe what life was like before you started Outcomes Rocket?
Yeah, thank you for that, Derek. I remember to this day the conversation with my wife. I was nervous. I had been in a corporate role for over 17 years. I was doing really well, right? Like the golden handcuffs, as they call them. And we're in a sole income household. And I was chatting with my wife and I said to her, babe, I think it's time. And she goes, what do you mean? It's time for me to do what I've wanted to do, start my own business. Um, and you know what, Derek, to this day, I will never forget. She basically just looked at me and says, I trust you. Like, I'm in. Whatever you have in mind, I know you're going to make it work. Let's go. And dude, I honestly, like, in my heart, felt, number one, so supported. Number two, she had my back. And that is so important in starting any venture, having somebody in your home, a group of advisors to have your
Yeah.
back. And so, dude, my wife had my back. So after that conversation, I went back to my workplace where I had been for 8 years. My last gig, I was running a division at Medtronic. It's a medical device company.
Yep.
My boss there is so cool. A guy by the name of Blake Tatum. I get on the, phone with them and I say, Blake, I am so grateful for the opportunities you and the business have given me. I've made a choice to start my own thing. Dude, I was so nervous. My palms are sweaty. It's just like
Knees weak,
I was
arms are
like
heavy.
everything. Yeah, exactly. Was it knees weak, arms are heavy? There's
Yep.
yeah, like it
Mom's
was
spaghetti.
just yeah, that's the line. That's the line. You gotta love Eminem. And but on the surface, I look calm and ready.
Exactly.
And so I made the jump. It was a great, supportive organization. I had been through a lot, grew up with nothing, family from Mexico. At one point, we were doing meals at one of those soup kitchens. And so, just I can't tell you how blessed I feel to be living in this country. The opportunities that we get here, man, are just like, wow. So if anybody like talks smack about what we got going on here, I say, you're not doing it right. Think about it twice, criticizing and start creating.
I think you brought up a good point there, because I think everybody here is so selfish, I think is the right word for it.
Yeah.
And it all started, I mean, it's been going for a long time, but like COVID made everybody just like take themselves in and be like, it's my bubble. I'm the only person that matters and nobody else does. And anybody else is doing something different, they're doing it wrong because it's not what I'm doing. I don't believe that at all. And
I
it's
don't
just
either.
like, whoa, how did we get to a point where what's good for you is not good for me, as opposed to what's good for the goose is good for the gander? But sorry, I completely interrupted you there, but it was
No,
just
you're good,
something
man. This is a
that,
discussion.
yeah, yeah. But little sidebar, so when I started these firms, we were moving houses and my wife was 8 months pregnant.
Oh, man.
So she was like,
The stress just tripled with all that.
well, why now? I was like, well, I've been trying to do this for the last 5 years. And, we kept like every time I had like set it out to do it,
Yeah.
she was pregnant again. So it was like, okay, this time I'm setting a date and I'm putting it in,
Regardless.
I'm putting it in motion. So all of a sudden it was like, it was in motion in the middle of it. We found out we were pregnant with our last one. So she was like, we're moving on the same weekend that you're opening the firm, right? And she's like, and I'm 8 months pregnant. I was like, yes, I know. And she's like, and it's Halloween and it's snowing.
But you set
Yeah,
the date, right? And it was
I,
time.
I set the date, and I followed through on it and never looked back. And
It's awesome, man.
it's been good.
And
When you go, yeah,
what I
no,
wanted to
go
say,
ahead.
Derek,
Yeah.
yeah, is that like, and by the way, I talked to my son about this. He's 8. I'm super proud of that kid. Actually, over the weekend, we impromptu went to an escape room, and it
We're
was
doing
just
that
so
tonight.
freaking cool. Oh, are you really? Like, which one are you doing? What's the
So
theme?
my daughter, my oldest, she's 11. So they've got
Yeah,
a birth. She's going to a birthday party tonight. So they're doing
awesome.
like a pizza party and games and then an escape
That is
room.
great.
And I'll have to see let's see.
Those things are growing in popularity, man. Like, they're becoming big. I hadn't been to one in a while, but anyway,
So
so did you find out?
Time wind
Time
escape.
Wind. Okay, okay, cool.
So it's funny, the girl's mom, the birthday girl, her mom is a Medtronic rep.
Get out of here. That's funny. You know what division?
Let's see. She is going to be in probably
Maybe.
spine
Oh,
neuro.
okay. Okay, got it, got it. I used to be in that. My last division was respiratory and monitoring, but healthcare is big, man. Anybody that says healthcare is a niche doesn't realize that it's 20% of US GDP. It is nearly $5 trillion in revenue, larger than the economy of Germany alone.
Yes.
So healthcare is not niche. The world, but and also it's small though. Yeah, but anyway, I think we're meandering, but all good. What I was going to tell you is, and by the way, that's why we chose healthcare. So I run a healthcare exclusive marketing agency. We work with two main segments. We work with health technology vendors selling to health systems. That's like the EMR companies, software companies, making life easier for providers, et cetera. And then also medical device companies like Medtronic, right? We help them in a highly regulated environment promote and hit their numbers, reach more patients, make more impact. But I was telling you about this escape room, just seeing my son there, just work with other people, and they were all adults. So you're gonna see this, dude. Like your daughter, she's 11. Like you just become that. You just so proud, man,
Yeah.
to see him grow up and what he's up to.
Is he your oldest?
He's my only. He's my
He's
only.
your only. Okay. All right.
Yeah, yeah,
It's it's funny. So I've got 3.
yeah. What are their ages?
So I've got 11, 9, 7, right? All girls. And
Awesome.
so it's funny, last year they were still all in elementary school. So we went to all their parent teacher conferences. I think it was the fall ones. There's fall and spring. But we go to them. My wife's a teacher, by the way, but
Cool. Well,
the
great.
same kindergarten
Wow. God bless her, man. God
at the
bless
same
her.
school that the kids are at, right? So, there's lots of interaction with the teachers. I'm sure they treat us a little bit differently than they would, you know, John Smith off the street, but whatever. But we get there and, it's like, I think we started with the oldest and we get there. They're like, oh, your daughter's so respectful, so nice, so helpful, follows every direction, et cetera. And I'm like, okay, sure. Get to the next one and, same thing. So helpful, so respectful, so nice. And I'm like, what? Get to the third one. It's the same thing. I've known the teacher for a long time. My wife knows her really well. And I was like, Anna, I got to stop you right here. I was like, you said all these wonderful things about, our daughter. And you said it about, because she had my middle daughter 2 years before and my oldest daughter 2 years before that. I was like, who the fuck's kids are you talking about? And she's like, oh, this is super common with parents who raise good children. She's like,
Hilarious.
they get, they are super respectful, super nice. They will help everybody else out, follow directions to everybody but you.
Yeah.
She's like, the people that they're most comfortable with, the people they spend the most time with, they're going to have, the most leash to do whatever they want with. But
True, man. So
So,
true.
it's like that was my saving grace because, now I've got a middle schooler who, that takes it to a different level
Different level
and it
from
just
what I
gets
hear.
worse and worse. Yeah. So, everybody's like, oh, it gets easier when they get older. No, it doesn't. But so you got that working for you. But so I guess, yeah, we're meandering quite a bit here, but to get back. So like when you were at Medtronic, what gave you how did you get the bug to want to start your own thing?
I'll be honest, man, I've always had the bug, but I would tell you that I'm a slow learner. It takes me a while to learn something, but I will tell you this, I'm very persistent. And when I get it, I get it. I crush it at whatever I get and understand. I remember like being in college and I started this thing called Gutter Guys. And I was basically like cleaning people's gutters. I had a ladder. I was making extra cash, right?
Yep.
And it was easy, and I was helping people, these old ladies that, the older people always enjoyed when I showed up, but never really took off. And then I tried different things. I had a loose leaf tea company. My lesson from the loose leaf tea company was you got to
Don't get a
have,
loose leaf tea company.
besides that, yeah, that was the lesson. And then the big thing there was you want to, I decided, at least for me, that I wanted a business with higher price points, meaning B2B. I didn't want to do B2C. That's a choice, right? It's a different business model. And then anyway, so just started different things. And I said, okay, I'm going to take a break here. I need to do some more learning. So in the corporate world, that was the best training you could get, man. Learned the basics of sales and marketing. I learned the P&L. I learned structure. I learned QBRs, right?
Hmm.
Everything that eventually now has become an asset. I didn't know any of that stuff. And what I learned too was before I actually started the business, I started this podcast. So, the Outcomes Rocket podcast. And it was about 600 interviews in that I had started noticing a pattern. It's a healthcare podcast. I realized everybody, no matter how big or how small, you're struggling with marketing. There's marketing. Everybody struggles with marketing, no matter how big or how small. Well, fast forward to 1,500 interviews. I'm like, the business is here. So I started signing up clients, some test clients, while I was still working. And I'm like, okay, there's a business here. And so when I talked to my wife, I told her, hey, look, I signed 2 agreements. These folks are locked in for a year. Like, this is not just an idea anymore, right? This is a thing that's going to become something. So through interviews with people, through discussions, and then honestly, I didn't do it until later, Derek, but so I'll save that for later. But the data later showed me that this is a huge market, especially in healthcare, marketing in healthcare, right? And so it was through these conversations that I found out the opportunity, and then I that's when I jumped ship. I saw that there was an opportunity to help people, and then I went for it and started building a team to help me execute.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy to think about. Excuse me. You know, watching a football game, right? So every other ad, and I'm not, putting advertising and marketing in the same bucket, but most people
It
when they say
is,
marketing,
yeah.
they
Advertising is a type of marketing, yes.
correct. But it's
Yeah,
like every other thing is a, pharmaceutical ad or well, I guess right now is open enrollment, right? So you're like, let's take a look at this. But I grew up in healthcare, right? My father was a physician. He's since
you told
retired.
me. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's,
He was an
I've,
orthopedist?
he was an interventional radiologist.
Okay, cool, cool.
you know but I work with a lot of physicians, so I see the provider side and everything that they have to go through, and kind of what it took for them, because let's say most of them aren't from Traverse City when they when they come up here to practice, right? They're from
Yeah.
somewhere else in the nation. They did their residency at a large hospital, fellowship somewhere else, and then here they are up in Traverse City to get there. All of the people, or most of the people that I work with, are private practice. So getting their feet stable, when you come out of residency, there's ego in the healthcare world, right? So they're like, oh, I am an orthopedist. I am such and such. Everybody's just going to want to come see me because I am God's gift to the world, right? So they realize real quick that it's not the case. Like you have to find the patients, or find the referral partners to create the patient flow, right? So I mean, one of my best friends, he is an orthopod up here, and for the first year and a half, he spent almost every night and multiple times a week, going out to dinner with potential referral partners, doing educational talks at the hospital or somewhere else, just stuff that he put together. Not, you're with Medtronic and, all the other, device or pharmaceutical companies have, I'm going to call it pre-canned seminars that you can put on,
Yeah.
right? This was just, he's like, hey, listen, I've done
Grassroots.
yeah, X of these, joint replacements or X of these, whatever else. And he did it. And he's like, here's what I've seen and people latched onto it because they were like, this is not a pre-canned, you know, advertisement or marketing speech presentation. They were like, this guy knows what he's doing and he's super young and he's ready. So, I mean, I'm going to call it, that's my exposure in the
But
healthcare marketing world.
and Derek, you know what I think you're pointing to? You're pointing to the importance.
Authenticity.
Amen. Right? Like being authentic. And by the way, in today's AI world, look, AI is great. Let's use it. It
It's a
is a
wonderful,
phenomenal.
helpful tool.
But let's remember that it's not a copy paste exercise. Like get inspired by AI, get ideas, get the first draft. But man, make sure the voice is yours. Like that is something that I definitely think a lot of people need to see. And your friend did it right. And by the way, it's possible for you to take one of these canned programs and
Sure.
say, hey, this is great. I'm going to add a couple slides here. I'm going to take this one out, make it yours. Right. And that's the point. Personalization is key.
So how do you? I mean, you're involved in the marketing side for both healthcare companies, let's say, and healthcare providers, if you will.
Yeah. Yeah. We serve
On
the
the
provider niche too.
on the provider side, how do you? I mean, in a little bit of detail, how do you help them say like, okay, you're a new orthopedist or a new family practice doc, right? How do you set yourself as somebody to go to as opposed to the 57 others or
Yeah.
100, however many there are?
Well, yeah. First and foremost, like I'm going to give you marketing
Yep.
101
Perfect.
as simple as it will ever come. And if anybody tries to complicate it beyond what I'm going to share with you right now, they're trying to
Get
sell you
out of
something.
there. Yep.
And it's up to you if you want to buy it, but like they're trying to sell you something. Marketing basically comes down to four things. Okay? And they're in this order. First, and I'm going to tell you what they are, and then we're going to go into each of them in as much detail as you want, but I'm going to boil it down in a way that if you do it like this in this order, you're going to get success. It's kind of like the analogy that I use, Derek, is a Rubik's cube. I actually, side note, was like I saw this YouTube video. The guy's name is Cubastic, and my son and I got a Rubik's cube, and this guy has 4 10-minute videos.
Okay.
And when you watch them all, he takes you through the sequence. I can solve a Rubik's cube in less than 2 minutes and 30 seconds reproducibly. And the answer is I can do it because I know the rules of the game and I know the sequence. Well, I've got to share with you and all of our listeners today that marketing, finance, for that matter, you know how to solve the finance Rubik's Cube, Derek. You know that. And so the Rubik's Cube of marketing, I'm going to share it with you right now. And it's got 4 steps. Number 1 is strategy. And I'm going to tell you what the elements of strategy are. You got to get your strategy right. Number 2 is owned marketing. Earned marketing is number 3. And number 4 is paid marketing. Okay. So strategy, owned, earned, and paid. And I'm going to walk you through what each of those are. Okay.
So up.
I tried making an acronym, but it didn't work especially because it's that order. So for everybody listening, don't worry about it. I'm going to leave Derek with a one pager that literally has everything that I'm about to share with you. So you're going to be able to go into show notes, click on this one pager, and you're going to be like, damn, here's my blueprint. Okay. So let's start with strategy. Strategy. And here's a quote that I share with all of our clients, Derek. It is Sun Tzu from The Art of War. The book is
Yes.
The Art of War. Sun Tzu
Great book.
says, great book. He says, strategy is the noise you hear. Tactics are the noise you hear before the war is lost. Tactics are the noise you hear before the war is lost. Okay, so tactics. And what happens in marketing is tactics because there's so many tactics. There's a blog, there's a podcast, there's SEO, there's the website links, there's the landing pages, there's social media. Like marketing is so full of tactics. If you start there, you've lost the war. So what you want to do is you want to start with strategy. And what do I mean by strategy? It's very simple. You want to start with what we do is our brand house exercise. And you're going to get this, guys. So don't worry. Like you're literally going to have our brand house. And it's your statement, what you do and why you do it. And in that same brand house, it's what makes you different. This is your unique selling proposition. And then your core promises to the market, which is what's called your brand attributes, your performance promise, right? Speed to value, insights in 30 minutes, whatever it might be. Have those crystal clear. So that's your brand house. Then the next thing you want to do under strategy is have your ICPs, your ideal client personas outlined. It could be 1, it could be 4, it could be 5, it could be 3, but you're selling to someone. If you sell to everyone, you sell to no one. So what you want to do is decide who your someone is and write it down. And the most important thing that you could do in the ICP step, ideal client persona step, is write down their pain points. What are they going through? What are their main objectives? If you document those, you're going to be so clear on how to communicate with them that everything else that you do on the tactics side goes back to your strategy and helps you be successful. And then lastly, I will in the strategy side is your messaging architecture. You actually architecture, and the biggest brands do this so well. Apple, Coca-Cola, State Farm, right? The biggest brands do this so well. And the architecture essentially grabs your brand house, grabs your personas, puts it into a 3-part framework that you communicate from. And then there's variations of it. But that essentially is your strategy in a nutshell, right? Brand house, ideal client personas, messaging architecture. By the way, I will tell you in healthcare specifically, only according to McKinsey and a New York Times study that was published in 2024, only 28% of healthcare marketers have a documented strategy.
Get out.
Dude, when I saw this stat, it explained to me this other stat that drives me crazy. And it's so sad. 50% of all businesses in the US fail within 5 years. 97% of businesses in the US fail at 10 years. And the number one reason for failure is lack of product demand. The number 2 reason for failure is lack of profitability. So if lack of product demand is the number one reason for failure, your marketing and your sales, you've got to look at those. And I will tell you that if you don't have a documented strategy, you're going to fail. And I'm telling you right now, the blueprint for your strategy. You just walk away with this. This will be the podcast that makes you a millionaire if you're not already a millionaire, that gets you to profitability if you're not profitable yet. So strategy first. I'll conclude on strategy. We have owned coming up, then earned, then paid. But any questions on strategy before we get into the other ones?
No, I think, the only comment I had, and it was completely off the wall, was ICP, the ideal client persona, right?
Yeah.
I'm old enough. We're growing up where ICP was Insane Clown Posse. So,
hey, we listened to the same music growing up, dude.
Right? I was just like, okay, that's said ICP, and I was like, where are the gigolos at?
Let's get some soundtrack going there.
Yeah. So sorry. Yeah. No questions. I mean, the strategy was all, like you said, you're simplifying everything down, but if it's more simple than what you're saying, it's not somebody's trying to sell you something. So you've put it in a fantastic, easy to understand currently. So keep that up.
And dude, and everybody, it's algorithmic. It's an
Yes.
algorithm. If you run an algorithm, you get the same thing at the other side every time.
It's repeatable.
And there could be bugs in the algorithm. So you just find where the bug is. And by the way, time is a bug. So what happens is time passes by. Like if you were doing this thing 3 years ago and then the AI wave hit, you're going to find bugs in your code. So this algorithm that I'm telling you is actually pretty tried and true, but there's tweaks you got to make within it. So let's go from strategy to owned.
And
And what I
I
want,
have one comment there on
yeah,
the strategy side, because it almost seems like it's putting into practice almost like what our parents taught us as children, right? Like this, algorithms are replacing the sound advice that we got as children, right? Like repetition is the key to learning and persistence is the key to success. It's like you put those now in place in an algorithm. Here we are.
here we are. No, it's so true, man. So true. And so, then, so you have your strategy, right? That's sort of one pillar. Then you have your 3 types of marketing. You have owned marketing, and owned marketing is everything that you own: your website, your podcast, your SEO, the content you put on socials. That's owned. Your earned marketing is getting opportunities on what we call OPS,
Other people's.
other people's stages, right? And so that could be podcasts, that could be news articles, that could be speaking opportunities. It's OPS, other people's stages, earned. You get earned. By the way, Derek, thank you for this earned opportunity, right? I'm on your
Absolutely.
platform and I'm grateful for it. And this is me exercising my earned pillar. We have a strategy for it and we'll talk about that. So this is earned. And then we got paid. Paid is that pillar where you put money on ads, paid conferences, paid media pushes, that kind of stuff. And the one thing that I'll tell you is that if you don't have the house in order on strategy, on earned, or on owned, don't do paid. And a lot of people go to paid because
They
they're in a
jump to
rush
paid. Yep.
and they don't have any of this other stuff. And they're like, why did my ads fail? Dude, your strategy wasn't in line. You don't have anything on your owned. You've done nothing to get earned, and you expect to have credibility all of a sudden because you put dollars behind it. Like it doesn't work that way. So if anything, if you walk away with anything like from this podcast, just know that don't start with paid. Start with getting your owned. And I put this in order, right? Get your strategy in place with your owned. So you start with your owned, and then you earned, and then you could do paid. So that's sort of the 3: owned, earned, paid. Now let's talk about owned. But before I do, any questions, Derek, or anything that we should touch on before we get to that?
No, I think just when you're going through owned, if we can kind of do it just like you did you've kind of ranked things, right? Strategy, owned, earned, paid. If we could, within all of these things, rank, so think of somebody starting, right? Okay, I've got my strategy down. Now I need to go to owned marketing. What do I need to do? What do I need to lock in first?
Okay. Got it. That sounds good. So what I would tell you is that under owned, and this is why your strategy is so critical, man. It's like if you have not done the work of your messaging architecture, the pain points in your ICPs, how you're different, whatever you put on own is going to be
Doesn't matter.
all over the place, right? So like I want to just emphasize that strategy is first, right? And that can take you a couple days to do, in your busy day. But you could do it, right? Or you could hire a company like ours where we'll come in and we'll walk you through the whole thing and make sure that you do it. And that's where a lot of people get value from working with us, right? But on the own side, there's fundamentals, right? You definitely want to have your website in place. You definitely want to have basic SEO in place. So like if you're a business serving consumers, you want to make sure that you have if you have a shingle hung up, that your local SEO is in place so that people can find you on Google and Apple Maps and Bing and Google, all that stuff. If you're virtual, right, you want to make sure that people can find you based off keywords. So basic SEO, website is in order. It's easy and clear calls to action, right? It's easy to call or message you. An explanation of your services. So every like I would say website is primary. Social media is I would say number two. Make sure that you're putting stuff out there that's related to your business, that it's explaining your services, that's highlighting your team. On that, I would tell you that there's the your own stages. It's so critical to have one, to pick one. So Derek, you've chosen podcasting. I love podcasting too. Like, it is so much fun. It's a great thought leadership tool. It's a great opportunity to open up doors to potential new clients. Like, it is a fantastic medium, but maybe that's not your thing. Maybe you want to do webinars and you do one a month, right? And that's cool too. That's another own stage. And maybe, you know what? You hate being in front of people. Maybe that's not your thing. And that's okay, because you could do a
Blog.
blog. Yeah, you could do an article contribution strategy, and it's still your content, right? And you could write thought leadership, that a newsletter, for example. If you're like super insightful, you could make this awesome newsletter that just like everybody can't wait to get. So this is your owned, right? And the owned is comprised of who I am, where can you find me, what do I do, and why should I trust you? And that's all baked into sort of the different things of your owned. That's owned in a nutshell. Then there's earned. Any questions on owned?
No, I think that's, I mean, it's all, I mean, personality is going to play a big difference in, what you're doing on the own side. I'm fairly extroverted, right? Have no problem being in front of people, talking to people. I mean, just the other night, uh, we were going, the Christmas tree was lit in downtown Traverse.
Oh, that's awesome.
You know, my
Great time
my
of the year.
oldest and I were sitting in the car, kind of waiting to get out because we got down there early so we could find a parking spot. And we saw, somebody walk by that, we knew they're one of our neighbors, but it's not somebody they're 5 or 6 houses past us. We don't see them very often. I rolled down my window. I was like, "Hey, how you doing?" Blah blah blah. Had a 5-minute conversation and then shut the window again, and they were on their way. But my daughter was like, "How do you make conversations with random people so easy?" I was just like, never really thought of it that way, but I don't know. I guess I like doing it. And it's what I do. It's okay. But
Yeah,
so,
and for you, Derek, that's great, right? And for me too. Like, I'm the same way. For us, this podcast platform is awesome, but it may not be for you. You're listening to this and you're like, just kind of like you feel your stomach dropping, and you're like, "There's no way." That's okay, and that's why strategy is key, because part of strategy is making something sustainable. And you don't have to boil the ocean with all the tactics. Just choose the ones that work best for
yeah, no. So, I mean, personality is going to play a big part there. And I think there's different levels of resources there of what you have to put into, I mean, a website build can, in theory, shouldn't cost you a ton, but it can cost you a ton if you're going to the end first, right?
you. Right.
Somebody's trying to sell you something. You're going to get an expensive website.
Exactly. Yeah. No, for sure, man. And you called it right. And there's ranges of everything you could do. So you could make a scrappy website nowadays with between AI and all the platforms that exist for nearly nothing. Or you could get a professionally made one, right? And it's just a matter of where you are in your journey. It's possible to go to market with the right things, especially in today's age. So anyway, that's it
And I
on
think, as
own.
you said, I mean, if it's got, your name, a brief, assuming you've already done the strategy side, what are you doing? How are you doing it? Who are you helping and why are you different on a scrappy website with your phone number and address or, link to get to you, you're as accessible as you can be, right? You've hit the big pieces.
And Derek, I will tell you, man, yes. And also, you could probably have a leg up on somebody that spent 20 grand on their website that didn't do their strategy. And you go to their website and you're like, what do they do? I can't tell you, like, you've probably experienced this. We all have. Like,
Yes.
what does this company do?
I mean, even just personally, right? When I first started my own finance firm, right? Like I was with big corporate for 13 years
Yeah.
before I opened my own, right? So they did all their stuff, marketing geniuses, right? Hired McKinsey and Ericsson for all the marketing speak. when I actually sat down and do it myself, I was like, I have no idea what the hell I'm doing. But it started with a website, right? And you look and you say, okay, I paid X company to do all this. I got a website, but I didn't get the strategy, right?
Yeah.
So I didn't have on there really anything besides all the normal buzzwords that were already out there. There was no differentiation. There was no clear outline of who I was, what I was doing, why I was doing it, who I was helping, and why I was different, right? It's like if you look at my website now, you know, there's 2 sentences in the landing part that you can see, and it's just
Yes.
like, here we are. Here's what we do in 1 sentence. Boom, right there. Okay, I'll scroll a little bit farther.
Yeah.
Because now I've got but that took me 3 years to learn already in business. Of
Derek, you're a
saying,
slow learner like me.
absolutely, absolutely. I tend to not put a lot of time or effort into things that I don't understand. Right.
Amen, brother.
So
Amen.
it's like, nope, this is outside my pay grade and well outside my comfort zone. So we're just going to, ostrich.
You hire
Put your head in
talent,
the
right?
sand.
Hire
Yeah.
talent. Hire talent.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
So yeah,
funny,
so
man.
that's kind of my experience. And then, anyway, so that's the own side. And I mean, I've been I'm sure if you did a case study on me, you'd be like, holy shit, because
It's
I've
like
done
that
all the
slide.
things.
Yeah, dude, it's like that slide that you see at conferences where success is not linear and the line goes like this.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep, that was me right there.
It's like my wife's conversation trail to get to the point.
That's so funny, dude.
And true.
Every joke is a half truth.
Every joke is a half truth. Every joke is a half truth. And what do they say? What is it? Drunk speak is sober thoughts. Something like,
That's
it's
hilarious.
like, people say what is on their mind when they were sober, but they won't say it to you unless they're drunk.
That's hilarious. Yeah, no inhibitions. Yeah, the other day I was sitting in the living room with my son, and he goes, "Dad, I just don't understand when people say shoot for the moon. If you don't get there, you'll reach the stars." He's like, "Dad, the moon is before the stars. Like, if you don't get to the moon, you're not even going to get to the moon." I'm like, "Buddy, you want to know something? I've always had that question in my brain, and I've always thought that saying is so dumb." And ultimately, we landed on it's important to question things and don't take things for surface level. Actually, like so many businesses out there exist because they didn't take that saying for what it was at face value. They flipped that stone over and they saw value. They said, holy smokes, there's value here. And, Derek, I think that's sort of what you're hinting at is like, dig deeper.
Business is like an onion, right? Regardless of what vertical you're in, what niche you're in, etc. There's a lot of ways to do the same thing, right? And you just have to make your way work for a certain subset of people that believe in that or, that understand it, right? Because, you always do business with people like, and trust, right? So how do you build that? Make it repeatable and do what you say you're going to do by the time you say you're going to do it. Not hard, right? But it gets harder the more complacent that you get.
Yeah.
So,
And also scale,
be
dude.
curious.
I will also say, like, as you scale as well, it gets harder. So, like, you may not be complacent, but you may not have the systems and processes or the right people to deliver when you say you're going to do it because you couldn't scale fast enough or you couldn't
Yep.
scale in a way that's reproducible enough. So that's also a factor too, scalability. You might be stuck at 3 million in revenue and you're wondering why. The reality it's probably processes, standard operating procedures that you have not developed to help you get more people into a system, not just throw people at a problem to get you to the next level.
Very, 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 very true. I live the scale problem, right? Of, hey, I'm going to do this by this. I'm the only professional delivering that, right? So it's like, there's only so many hours in a day. And you're like, wow, this piece took 5 times the amount of time that I expected.
Yeah,
So
man.
now you're like, shit, I'm going to be delayed on this delivery because there's just not enough time for just me to do it. So, it's a capacity issue.
It is, man. It
right?
is.
So,
This is
all
one
right.
of my
So we
favorite books this year.
who, not how, exactly. Yep.
This is one of my favorite books this year. Obviously, then there's Process and Procedure, but this is one of my favorite books this year because it's not about how am I going to make this happen, is who can I invite to make this happen? And by the way, if Process and Procedure is what you need, then get somebody to help you do that, because it's very likely that if you don't have it in place right now, that's not your thing. It wasn't my thing. I actually had to hire a firm to help us do our SOPs and our process. And then I hired talent that could continue the maintenance of that, because it's not me. I suck at that.
Yeah.
I'm the worst. I am the worst, right? At that. Sales. I love sales. Sales is my thing, and it's an important skill for the business, but you need the who's that are going to do the process and procedure to get things done. This is great. I love this conversation, Derek. So earned is essentially OPS, other people's stages. Why is it important? Because people will believe their peers versus you first. And Derek
Yeah.
talked to us about know, like, and trust. So if somebody gives you a recommendation, if your friend recommends you to Derek, he's great at finance, like he's done great for me for 2 years, you're going to trust because it's a recommendation. It's a testimonial. And guess what? Let me categorize testimonials for you. Testimonials are earned media. So think about what you have on your site. Think about what you're putting out on your materials. Do you have testimonials? That is probably what I would tell you. Derek, we talked about ranking things. Testimonials and case studies are number one on your earned. That is like the top. Before you get on other people's stages, before you get into articles and all that stuff, get testimonials, because it's about the services and products and technology you provide. And that's how people can do what Derek said: know, like, and trust you, KLT. So make sure that you're outlining it. I'm going to go back to this again. I haven't done it yet. It's been on my list. Well, guess what? I did this program, Derek. It's called Strategic Coach with Dan Sullivan, same author of this book. And
Okay. Yeah.
you know what he said that really got me thinking in a really cool way? He said, procrastination is wisdom. Huh. Tell me more, Dan. Well, he says, procrastination is your wisdom telling you you shouldn't do it. You should actually not do it. You should hire somebody who, not how, to do it for you. So I hired a company to do our testimonials because I just wasn't doing it. And I'm a marketing agency. Get your ego out of the way, man. Just get it done. And what I'm telling you is on your earned, if you haven't gotten your testimonials done, get out of your own way, hire somebody to do it. Just get it done. That is the number one type of earned media you could have out there for yourself. And once you have them, then you push them out your channels, all your own channels, your email, your website, your social, right? Push it out through your own channel. So that's your earned number one. And then you start being strategic about who you want to be as a thought leader, and back to your unique selling proposition. So you go to your strategy and you say, how are we different? Then you develop content, podcasts, webinars, written articles, whatever it might be, and you put them out there, and you invite other people writing about these topics or talking about these topics to invite you to their podcast, to help to allow you to basically post an op-ed. They call it an op-ed. An op-ed is an old term from the old newspaper days. It's basically like
An
on the
opinion,
other
an
side.
opinion editorial.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Right. So you got what the editor wrote, and then you got the opinion side. That was like the opinion editorial on the other side of the editor. Today it's digital. So the op-ed is a fancy way of saying you write something, you pitch it to a publication, and you say, hey, do you mind publishing it on your publication as me as the author? And then they usually give you a nice backlink, which helps your SEO. And by the way, the cool thing that I really love on earned is podcasts. So you get on somebody's podcast, you have fun. I'm having a ton of fun here with Derek. And then he posts the episode and he gives you a backlink. The backlink is essentially a link to your website that's referenced by another website. The higher the domain authority of those websites, the more authority Google gives you, and it helps your SEO. So podcasting is one of those really fun things that you could do. And by the way, searchability Like when you do podcasts, the number one search engine today is Google. The number two search engine today is YouTube.
Yeah.
So when you do your podcast and the podcast host happens to post it video wise, you're actually, when you do a Google search on something, you'll see that there's different sections. There's the AI section now, which, what are you doing on GEO? That's generative engine optimization. What are you doing there, right? That's a question mark you should be thinking about. Then everything below, then you have your sponsored section, then you have your videos, and then you have everything else, right? It's the freaking SEO GEO sandwich now, right? But the point here is that in the videos section, you're going to have the podcasts you've done. It's so cool, actually. Like I was chatting with my team about this week, yesterday, because today's Tuesday. Guys, like we had our PR meeting on Monday, and I'm like, gosh, I mean, every time I Google us or our clients, you have this wedge with all the videos of podcasts we've done. Do more podcasts because it's going to pull you up on the video section. And it's a quick way, as Derek told us, for people to get to know, like, and trust you. So do podcasts for that. And then there's different things, by the way, I'll share with you guys. One of the things that we recommend to all of our clients is to get a subscription to Forbes Council. Forbes Council costs $3,000 a year or $5,000 a year, depending on what it is. But as long as your business is doing $1 million or more in revenue, they evaluate you. And then you could write articles with the Forbes under Forbes. So you're an author on Forbes. And dude, it's like a no-brainer. And I'm going to tie it back. Go back to your unique selling proposition and write stuff about that. So that's earned in a nutshell. You got obviously like PR plan to get out and do, but it's grassroots, or you could be more sophisticated and create database campaigns to get out there. You don't have to do all that, but if you want to take it to the next level, then you do surveys and you get data that will help showcase you, because these news outlets love data. And if you can show up with them with surveys and data, like they'll cover you. It's more likely. And so that's another tip there. But that's it on earned. All right, guys, hope you're with us still. Don't worry. You could always hit rewind on this episode to hit some of these things. You could listen to it again, and we're going to leave a leave behind for you. So you don't even have to take any notes. You could literally download it and print it from Derek's show notes. Right, Derek? We'll do that for them?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. So the last thing here, paid. And paid is what you do when you already have something that's working and you want to send more volume and more traffic to it. So when you already have a proven funnel, then you put money behind it to put more people in front of the thing.
You already have a fire burning and now you just need some gasoline.
That's right. That's right. And so under this category, it's social media ads. It's programmatic ads on target publications. It's conferences. You don't want to go to a conference if you don't have your strategy, your owned and earned. I mean, let's be honest, you can, and it wouldn't hurt, but you could really magnify and amplify the impact that you have at a conference. If you have your strategy in place, you have your own content so people understand what you do, why you do it, who you do it for, what makes you different. And then finally, the last piece is earned. If you have some testimonials and credibility out there about you, you go to a conference, you're going to magnify the impact that you make at it. So don't do paid unless you have strategy, own and earn in place. And then if you have a funnel that's converting, you throw money at it, you know that if you put $1 in the machine, $3 is going to come out of the other end, then throw $1 in that machine, And so that's how paid works. That's it in a nutshell. Remember that tactics are the noise you hear before the war is lost. And it's algorithmic, and if you happen to be in the healthcare space and you want help with this type of work, that's what we do at Outcomes Rocket. OutcomesRocket.com is where you could get a hold of us.
You just ended the podcast right there.
I mean, Derek, we don't have to end there, but I wanted to tell people that's where they.
No, it was just funny because, like, in the progression of things, it was like, okay, what are the next things? What is the next thing I was talk about? You just did it right there, and then how do people get in touch with you? Boom, did it right there. I was like, well, okay, I guess I don't have to do anything else. We're all taken care of. No, but it's like there's, you came to me through, I'm going to say it was probably either an earned or a paid platform to find, podcasts to go on, right?
Yeah. My team
So
reached out to you.
yeah,
Yeah. And it might have been on a platform, or it might have been they shot you an email.
yeah,
But
I don't remember what it was, but it was like, I get emails all the time from whether it's
same,
promoters or
too
somebody
many.
else to be like, hey, so and so would be a good guest on your podcast. And, I'll read through it, see the one pages they send and be like, yes, yes, no, 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 yes, yes, no, 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 no. But, when you're looking at the podcast side,
Yeah,
the backlinks through like, Apple Podcasts or Spotify, wherever, I would assume that those are ranking very high on Google, right?
yeah,
Because it's coming from Apple or Spotify or Google, the Play Store, whatever. I would assume that those are extremely heavily weighted when it comes to ranking your SEO.
yeah. It definitely helps. And then those links get posted on your site as well,
Yep.
wherever you post it. Most podcasts post their
Yeah, mine's
program
on
on their
my mine's
site.
on my site. It's
Yeah,
there's a podcast site, whatever. But I assume that when you put it in, now you're seeing. I'm also doing the who not how in here is
yeah.
because I don't deal with any of the production or the
I
posting it
love
of
that.
anywhere. So
You
I'm
shouldn't.
like, okay, I'm thinking like, all right, in Apple Podcast, does it actually have a link for the things in there? No, you're talking about my site, and
No, but
you know,
you know what though? It was an and, not or. So essentially,
okay,
when you push the episode out through your host, whether it be Megaphone or Spotify or Blueberry or one of those podcast hosting platforms, you put the information in there in the show notes, and then you should put any links there. You don't
yeah,
have to, but you should. And then that pushes out to your website, or maybe you load it manually on your website. But anything that's on the host definitely gets pushed out to Spotify and Apple, as you said, Derek. So you're spot on.
okay, yeah. I guess yeah, you're seeing my naivete,
No, I'm
in all this
seeing your
stuff, but it's
brilliance, dude, because you're not doing this. You know that you shouldn't be doing this. Procrastination's wisdom.
yep, yep. It was
Like,
like,
I'm
hey, you,
seeing
you
your
should do
wisdom,
this. Well, I'm
brother.
not going to
I'm
do
seeing
it.
your
I'm
wisdom.
not going to do it. I'll do this part of it because I'm good at this, right? I
Yeah,
can do
yeah,
this all day
exactly.
long. But I'm
Amen.
not going to do the production. I'm not going to deal with the dissemination of it, etc. So, all right, how long have you been in business with Outcomes Rocket?
So I've been actually running the podcast for 8 years.
Okay.
The actual agency, we've been doing it for 3 years.
Okay. So, and I think from what I remember from before, you had a pretty meteoric rise in the agency side, right?
Thanks to God, man. Like, we work hard and we're grateful for the opportunities we've gotten. Like, we're on a rocket. We're on a rocket.
What are we eating your own cooking? Eat your own cooking?
We eat our own cooking, brother. We eat our own cooking. This kitchen back here, we eat what comes off them pans.
So, if I put you on the spot here, what is the strategy for Outcomes Rocket? I know you said it in the beginning, but let's
I'm
repeat it
happy to
again.
share it with you, man. Like for us, do you mean like our highest performing funnels, or like our
Just say
overall?
so the SOE, so the strategy, owned, earned,
Let's do it. Yeah, let's
you
do
know,
it, man. Let's do
so
it.
what was your strategy that you then said, this is good, we're going to move on to owned for this?
I'm happy to share it with you. Yeah. So at the beginning, when I shared with you what we do, we're a healthcare exclusive marketing agency, right? We help unlock opportunities in commercialization for the medical device, medical tech, and provider segments. So that's like what we do, right? Why we do it? I shared this with you through the stats. Is we do it because businesses in healthcare shouldn't fail, dude. Like, I mean, these businesses are looking to do great. And if 50% of them are failing at 5 years and 97% are failing at 10, dude, we're losing out, and our health system in our country needs help. So that's why we do it. Why we're different, Derek? We're different because, to be honest with you, our biggest differentiator is the time. 20 plus years in healthcare, 2,000 plus interviews that I personally have done is basically like research.
It's
From
stats, it's data.
Dude, we have so much intel, and our network is so big in healthcare that oftentimes what we do is just table stakes, the marketing stuff. We're great at it. What ends up happening is we connect dots for our clients and help them close deals in ways that they didn't even expect us to do. And then they're like, oh, shoot, we get this with the stuff we were going to buy. Yeah, you do actually. So that's a huge differentiator for us, is our connectivity and how we accelerate results. So then our ICPs are all the people that are CEOs at MedTech, CEOs, VPs of marketing, chief marketing officers, chief commercial officers. Those are our ICPs in both med device and med tech. And then our messaging architecture. Then in owned, I'll share with you our best converting funnel is podcast. Like, we meet a lot of our clients through our podcast. It's such a great door opener. Our number 2 funnel is actually on the paid side, is at conferences.
Okay.
So like, the conferences are our number 2 converting funnel, but we definitely invest heavily in public relations. So I have a team. So in the earned side of the funnel, we have a team that both helps me put thought leadership content out on our site, but on sites like Forbes, The Drum, different marketing publications where our customers, eMarketer, we do research. Like, we do surveys and research that help us stay ahead of the game on marketing. So all that stuff in the earned, we are very intentional about putting our thoughts into the public so that people can learn and find us through learning about what we're doing. And so I would tell you that
which helps you build trust, right?
It does.
You've done the work to then, hey, we've explored and researched all of this, so you don't have to. Here's all the data, that, it's public. You can see it. You can see exactly what we're looking at. So we're not pulling wool over your eyes. We're
Yep.
not running a black box operation here.
Exactly. And that those studies, some of the recent ones we've done are on the insights tab of our website. So if you go to outcomesrocket.com, they're on the insights tab. But I would tell you, like, across those 3 different channels, like across the 3 pillars, obviously our strategy's tight, and we're always reevaluating it, making sure that it's tight. Not like once a year. What I mean by always is we gut check it once a year. We tighten it up, dust it up. We're in that process right now for 2026. But in the owned category, it's podcast. In the earned category, we're getting on podcasts and publishing stuff. And then on the paid category, it's conferences. And we do a little bit of paid promotion of certain posts that we do on LinkedIn. We definitely sprinkle that in, but that's more of an awareness tactic for key people to see what we're putting out there. We're doing that too, but that's a little bit of kind of like a broad swath across all 4 pillars of the strategy. Does that help?
No. So this has been, I'm nowhere near 1,500 episodes in. I'm thinking, in the middle school speak.
How many have you done?
I think this episode is going to be, and I'm going to shoot myself for saying this, I think it's going to be episode 67.
Dude, congratulations, man.
Well, but so in middle school and at 6, 7, it's the most
hilarious,
annoying thing in the world. And all of my kids, and you're just like, oh my God, if you say that again, I'm going to lock you in your room and you're done.
Where did that even come from, dude? That totally went viral.
It's so, I'm going to tell you, but not right now because it's so stupid. But
okay.
Yeah. So I think this will be somewhere between 67 and 69. So
congratulations.
Thanks.
I don't know if you know the stat. 7. The number is 7. Most podcasts die after 7 episodes.
And this, and it's not something that I, put a lot of time and effort in, right? I do this once, every 2 weeks I release an episode. So
huge, brother. You're consistent, man.
Like we said, right? Persistence is the key to success and repetition is the key to learning. My dad drilled that into me when I was a child.
He definitely did.
It's like literally on my first cubicle, I had, how, like if you're facing the corner of the cubicle, one side was persistence is the key to learning, just thumbtacked up there. So, repetition is the key to learning. And persistence is the key to success right over there. So it was like, yeah, keep going.
Do the reps,
rep, and be persistent. Yeah. Maybe, yes. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, so outcomesrocket.com, great way to get a hold of you. Any other mediums or any other ways to get in touch with you and the company?
tell you that if you shoot me a message on LinkedIn, like a direct
Okay.
message, that's probably the fastest way to get me. Just because my inbox is crowded and my assistant manages that. She's a great blocker.
She's the
So if you
gatekeeper.
she is, if you really want to get a hold of me, hit me up on LinkedIn, direct message. But definitely follow us, follow our company on LinkedIn. That's our main social platform. And the website's always a great place to see kind of our articles and things that we've published, and just to learn more about us as a company.
Your assistant is like Gandalf. Is it the white? Thou shalt not pass. You know?
She does a great job. I'm grateful.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, as you know, my name is Derek Dall'Olmo. I'm the owner of both Tremonti Financial Consultants and Tremonti Tax Solutions, together referred to as Tremonti. Tremonti bridges the gap between financial advisors and accountants by serving as CFO to our clients. We specifically love to work with business owners to develop a proactive tax strategy that maximizes after-tax profits. It's our job to help you earn more, be more efficient, and pay as little in taxes as legally possible. If this idea piques your interest, please go to tremontitax.com and book a 15-minute chat with me. Whether we end up working together or not, I'd love to hear from you. With all that said, today, it was really good talking to you.
Such a pleasure, Derek. Thanks for hosting me.
For those listening, if you enjoyed today's episode and had a few helpful takeaways, we'd love for you to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts and share this episode with other business-minded friends. This has been another episode of the Traversing Entrepreneurship podcast. We had fun today and hope you did too. Thank you to Saul for coming here, and thank you for tuning in and listening. Peace.
This podcast is presented by Tremonti Financial Consultants, LLC. The firm is registered as an investment advisor and only transacts business in states where it is properly registered or is excluded or exempted from registration requirements. Registration as an investment advisor does not constitute an endorsement of the firm by securities regulators, nor does it indicate that the advisor has attained a particular level of skill or ability. The information presented is believed to be current. It should not be viewed as personalized investment advice. All expressions of opinion reflect the judgment of the presenter on the date of the podcast and are subject to change. You should consult with a professional advisor before implementing any of the strategies discussed. Content should not be viewed as an offer to buy or sell any of the securities mentioned or as legal or tax advice. Always consult an attorney or tax professional regarding your specific legal or tax situation. Different types of investments involve higher and lower levels of risk. There is no guarantee that a specific investment or strategy will be suitable or profitable for an investor's portfolio. There are no assurances that a portfolio will match or exceed any particular benchmark. All investment strategies can result in profit or loss.